Hi, I'm Ari, I'm the Oak Witch, and today I'm going to be talking about daily practice. So in the online witchcraft and occult community and pagan community, there's been a lot of discussion about daily practice, what it means, why it's important, and I wanted to give my thoughts and contribute to this discussion. My aim for this video is to break down the concept of daily practice and perhaps comfort those who are concerned about this issue, because I think that it's quite misunderstood. So obviously for the context of this video, I'm going to be talking mainly about witchcraft because I am a witch, and of course that's what I have experience with. Before we, I guess, dive deep, let's just talk about what we mean when we say daily practice. Now, from my understanding, it doesn't mean that every single day for the rest of your life means you have to practice. The word I think I would probably want to use more is regular practice. And I think what is also misunderstood by this is that this regular practice can realistically be anything that you want. It can be anything which develops your witchcraft journey. Witchcraft, of course, is relatively quite a broad term, and it encompasses a lot of different types of practices, and obviously those practices are going to look so different to each witch. So in terms of what you're doing, that's entirely up to you. The last thing I think we mean by daily practice is that practice makes perfect. And I think that's sort of the most simple way you can put it. It does not infer that, you know, if you miss a day, you're shunned from the community or that you're a bad witch. It doesn't mean that at all. Of course you can, if you feel like you need to miss a day, you need to miss a day. People have lives. It's not about shaming yourself for not doing as much as you think you should be. It's not about, you know, being a bad witch or a bad occultist if you miss a day or take some breaks. That's not what the argument for daily practice is saying, and I hope as the video goes along I can clear the air and make it a bit more understandable. So when we dive deep into why daily witchcraft practice is important, you know, I've spoken about it on my Twitter, and I find I usually end up looking at what the definition of being a witch is. To put it simply, a witch is just someone who practices witchcraft. That's it, right? I mean, that's a really simple definition, but probably a bit too simple actually, but for the sake of this video, that's the definition we'll go with. But so let's look at that sentence. Someone, anyone, who themselves actively, physically practices witchcraft. So what does this sentence definition not mean? So this kind of goes into the whole idea that, you know, a witch doesn't necessarily have beliefs. Being a witch does not come with a set of moral beliefs or religious beliefs or even philosophical beliefs. So witchcraft can be secular. Witchcraft is just something that you do. It is just something that you practice. It's not something that you believe, you know. I'm not a witch because I believe that I am a witch. Yes, I have the label of a witch, but it's because I practice witchcraft. It's something that I do, so this is something that I am. Anyone can believe in the existence of witches and witchcraft, but that doesn't make them a witch. Do you know what I'm saying? Witches don't have a set core of beliefs they have to adhere to, and that's why you get so many witches of different cultural, religious and, you know, traditional backgrounds. You get witches from everywhere, from anywhere, and yes, you can incorporate that into your witchcraft, but that is not obviously the same for everyone, because witchcraft is just something that you do. So you might be thinking, what has this got to do with daily practice? And it does link. So we get to a point where to be a witch you have to practice witchcraft, and I think that is a acceptable conclusion, bearing in mind what I just said. But then we start getting into, you know, well, how much practice? How regularly? You know, how much do we need to do it? And I think this is where daily practice comes into play. Now, I will happily state I do not have the authority. You know, I am not the witch to draw the line as to who's a witch and who's not a witch. That is completely not what I'm trying to say. And bearing in mind, no one really has the authority to draw the line. There's no like one witch we all answer to, right? So we're all just shouting our opinions into the void, really. The argument for daily or regular practice is one that simply says, this is something that will help you. Regularly practicing witchcraft is only going to help you. It's only going to benefit you. It's only going to help you thrive as a witch and your witchcraft journey. When we look at the idea of practice makes perfect, people don't throw that around for no reason. It is something, you know, which makes sense. The more you do something, the more you practice something, the better you're gonna be at it. You're gonna be able to develop those skills more because you're actively doing it more. You know, I like reading books. I like absorbing information, and you come across certain people's approaches to magic, approaches to spells, rituals, and I read them and I go, oh, that looks great. You know, you can read a book on wards, and I'll recommend one here because I actually really like this book. I read it on Scribd and it's really good. So you can read a book on wards and get really good ideas, and then, you know, you can think, oh yes, okay, I'm gonna do that. But if you don't actually do it, how do you know? You know, how do you build that skill? How do you actually see the results if you're not doing it? So practice makes perfect. Practicing something over and over again. And no one's saying that, you know, in witchcraft practice, no one expects you to be an expert straight away, and I think that is a pressure we put on ourselves. So the idea that you need to, you know, it's like trial and error. You need to keep trying at something. This is what witchcraft is. It's trial and error. It's building this practice, and it's doing this practice. You know, it's doing it regularly and helping you actually craft this magic which works for you. Magic is like a muscle. If you picture, you know, working out, you know, one gym session isn't going to get you completely ripped. I'm probably not a good example to use because I have no muscle at all. Magic muscle, you know, that is something you have to work at. You need to build your magic. It's a skill, it really is. And with skills, they don't get better by just thinking about it. If I just think about playing the guitar, that's not going to actually help my practice. Another reason as to why daily practice I think is really good is that it will help you remove imposter syndrome, which again is something that's really common with us. I think also because of the rise of internet witches, people sharing their craft, their spiritual journeys on the internet. It does give you this sort of sense of like imposter syndrome, like damn, you know, like am I doing it right? Like they're out there doing it better than me. Why aren't I doing that? You know, so I think regular practice will help you get rid of that because you're validating yourself. You're saying to yourself, hey, I'm practicing regularly, I'm practicing daily. Like I'm doing this every day. I'm only going to get better with this practice, and that's fine. I might not be an expert yet, but I'm on my way to getting there and I'm validated. That is also not me saying that if you're not practicing every day, you're not making progress, because obviously breaks are fine, life gets in the way. But I think there is also the idea that, you know, if you're practicing 2 weeks out of a whole year, what progress are you going to make with that just 2 weeks out of a whole year? If you're practicing once every 3 weeks, what does that progress look like? Ask yourself that question. Is it as effective as someone who's going to be practicing 3 times a week? Would you say yes to that question? I'm not sure that I would. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have their title of witch revoked, but you have to question whether or not that is substantial progress. Because this then gets into my next train of thought. Because you have to think about what the purpose of witchcraft is. Why are we doing this? You know, why am I a witch? Is it not to develop yourself in some way? Is the purpose of getting into some form of the occult not to develop yourself as a person? You know, this purpose can look different for different people. You know, in whatever way, people tend to walk this path because it's a journey. It is something. It's a purpose. You're developing yourself in some way. So, in order to develop, you have to take steps. You know, I like to think of it as a journey that you're walking. So you actually have to take the steps. And you have to continue taking those steps. You know, you don't progress on a journey by just taking one step and then just seeing the rest of the journey. You can't even see the rest of the journey if you don't walk it. So you need to take those steps and you need to continue taking them. And of course, you're gonna get to the end, you're gonna progress along the journey quicker the more steps you take and the quicker you take them. That's just my really bad analogy for daily practice. But yeah, so there's a reason why we do this. Is it not to develop yourself in some way? That's not me telling you what your purpose is, I guess, but I tend to find that the base reason as to why people get into this type of, you know, this occult, this witchcraft practice, is because of some form of development that they're seeking within themselves. So, bearing that in mind, progress needs change, and change begins within you. And change is not just belief. You can believe that you can change, but change happens with willed action. Everyone does go at their own pace. Everyone has their own limitations. When we're looking at the argument of daily practice and regular practice, everyone goes at their own pace, and that is okay. You know, if you need more days off than the average witch, I wouldn't say that makes you less of a witch. Of course it doesn't. Maintain the idea that regular practice will only help you, right? But if you just need more days off, then, you know, that's what you need and you're still a witch. I tend to find that people think it's us saying you need to be in robes, doing rituals every day and casting spells off, you know, on a whim every day. And if someone on the internet says to you that you need to do this ritual every day to be a witch, you know, if you're not performing the LBRP every single day, you're out. Don't listen to them. No, like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, no, I don't cast spells every day. I don't. I do spells when I need to. Practice magic every day, but that's different. So when we get into, you know, everyone goes at their own pace, that also, I think, refers to people building their regular practice. I don't think anyone should expect beginners or even some intermediates coming into this witchcraft practice to be able to just craft a daily practice just like that straight away, and then that's it for the rest of their lives. Like, I don't think that's realistic. I don't think people really know how to do it too well. But I just wanted to comfort those who do get quite caught up in the idea that, you know, your magic needs to look beautiful every day, and then people get a bit bogged down about it, and it gets into this idea of imposter syndrome. Surely the most important thing is your perception of the craft, not other people's perceptions of your craft. Other people's perceptions of your witchcraft will not help you develop your spiritual self, your witchy self. I think that's important to remind yourself when you get into this idea of crafting your daily practice, coming up with a practice which suits you. It doesn't need to be Instagrammable, you know? If you're constantly mean to yourself, if you're constantly approaching a certain type of practice with negativity, and you're shaming yourself and you're guilt-tripping yourself, then honestly, you're gonna approach it the same way in the future. I see this so much with meditation. I mean, I did this meditation for ages, where I would be like, oh god, I need to do this, I need to meditate. I really should be meditating every day. It's something that I need to be doing. I know. And then you don't do it because depression, or you don't do it because of something, and then I just think, oh god. And then you shame yourself more, and it's an endless cycle. And I just want anyone who relates to that, I just want you to know that if you put it off, that's fine. Please don't shame yourself, don't talk down to yourself, because your thoughts will become your actions. Instead, try and become aware of those negative thoughts and just let them go. Let them go. Don't dwell on them. Don't shame yourself for missing out on practice, on meditation. It's fine. Just let it go for now. Don't shame yourself, because it will ruin your motivation to want to do it again. So now I'm going to give some tips for a consistent practice. A consistent or regular practice, I should say. I'm gonna go through, I guess, my tips, my ideas that, you know, might help you if you are actually just really struggling with the idea of what to do every day and what you can do, which is, you know, realistic or actually feasible. These are some of my thoughts. So I'm just going to list some low energy ones. So these are ones which I think don't necessarily take a lot of energy. They don't take a lot of effort to do. They can include holding a crystal. You know, just taking a crystal that you own, holding it with intention, just being with it, and that's it. Talk and sit with some plants that you have. Maybe house plants, maybe a patch of grass in your garden, maybe a flower, maybe a weed in the cracks of the pavement. Just go be with it. Recognize it. Like, I think this can link to also if you travel every day for work, or if you just go on walks every day, if you're outside, not necessarily in a massive beautiful forest, if you're just outside, look around you and try notice nature, try be aware of it, and try respect it, I guess, and have that connection, even if it's like for a split second, even if you're just noticing a tree on the pavement as you walk by. Recognize it, be with it, light a candle with intention, you know, just be with just sit at your altar, maybe, just sit there, light a candle, prayer, you know, if you're a pagan. I mean, not just pagans pray either. Some pagans don't like the term prayer, which I find a bit funny. Pray if you work with deities, or even with spirits, or whatever it is that you work with. Why not just say some words of intention? Affirmations in the mirror. This is essentially mirror magic, but you can just stand in front of your mirror, look at yourself. One thing I really like doing is self-love affirmations. Obviously you can change the style of affirmations depending on what type of magic you want to work with, but one really good one I think is self-love affirmations, because everyone can do with some self-love. Another one I guess is if you have a book of shadows, if you have a grimoire, a spiritual journal, whatever name you have for your journal, read it, go through it, flick through it. Yeah, it's the same concept of just sitting at your altar, be with the energy, sit with this sacred space, reflect. Doesn't have to be this massive long ritual where you're deep in thought and trance. Just sit there and just be with those energies. There are loads of different ones like that. I could go on for ages on those low energy ones, but yeah, that is some ideas that are very low cost energy. I just realised how fitting of a mug this is. Seek magic every day. That was not planned. Now I'm going to move on to some other tips which are a bit, you know, a bit more energy, but still valid practices. So the first one is reading. So reading, obviously, is a part of your witchcraft practice because you are reading knowledge, you are obtaining knowledge that you then obviously apply and then experience. So my idea is obviously like, you don't just stop at the reading of the book, you then apply it and such. But of course, a part of your daily practice and your regular practice, if you read witchy literature or any occult literature, that is a part of your daily practice. Why would that not be? You are developing your practice because you are reading knowledge, you are obtaining knowledge and wisdom. So yes, that would be a part of your daily routine. The next one I touched on before is meditation, and this meditation is not necessarily even a witchy thing. It's not inherently a witchy practice. Meditation is seen across so many different cultures, so many different religions. But meditation is obviously something that witches use, we utilise. It's pretty fundamental when it comes to your witchy practice. So install an app, you know, Insight Timer, My Life, Calm, Headspace. I also really recommend Wiccan Life on Spotify. She does really good guided meditations. But yeah, so meditation can consist of starting with 5 minutes a day or every other day. Start with that. Just close your eyes. I like to do elemental square breathing. Breathe into the count of 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on each count of 4 you go earth, air, fire, water. Hold it for earth, air, fire, water, and then as you exhale, earth, air, fire, water. So you can just do this with numbers, but I like using the elements, and you can just do that until you feel like that sense of calmness, and that's your meditation. It can be for 5 minutes if you struggle with meditation. Obviously, as you progress on your journey, build up this 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Like I just recommended with the guided meditations, stick with that. If you need something to sort of anchor you, if you need a voice to guide you, go through guided meditations, through journeys, path workings, yeah. Start with those, research them, and there are plenty out there for free, so yeah. My next one, which I guess is actually quite low energy cost, is visualization. It links to the idea of energy work, which is something that witches tend to use in their practice. Visualization, I think, is quite good because it doesn't necessarily, it's not like meditation where you need to be sort of back straight and in a comfortable position. I think essentially you can really visualize anywhere, like wherever you are. Your options for visualization are just endless. You can visualize whatever to help you practice that. So there's that. Divination. Again, not necessarily even a witchy thing. Divination is seen across a lot of different cultures and different religions and practices, but witches obviously tend to really like divination. I would say tarot. I would say, keep a tarot deck by your bedside, on your bedside table, by your bedside or wherever. Just keep it next to your bed. And at the end of the day, pull a card. As you're shuffling, just reflect on your day, think about what you did, what happened, emotions that you felt. Ask something like, what do I need to learn for today? And pull a card and reflect on its meaning. If you need to look it up in a guidebook on Labyrinthos app, that's fine. That's fine. Do that and reflect on the meaning and go to bed. My next set of tips are to do with your daily routine. So think about already what your daily routine is. Do you have a hot drink in the morning? I have a cup of tea every day. Obviously you can have herbal teas, herb correspondences, that's great. But I just have a builder's tea basically, and I stir clockwise for attracting something like an intention, or anti-clockwise for removing, for banishing. And that is, adding a little bit of magic in your daily routine, perfectly valid for a daily practice. Set your intentions, drink the tea. Do you wear makeup? I don't personally wear makeup myself, but if you do, you can of course incorporate glamour magic into that. Put it on with intention, and there you go. I do tend to do this with like skincare. I have rose water as like a toner or a cleanser, and some like reusable cotton pads, and I'll put them on, and then I'll like rub rose water on my face with intention, obviously moisturize with intention, blah, blah. And you can enchant these already made products with intention. Obviously rose water is quite nice of one because it is just rose water. It's quite natural already, so obviously rose has its own correspondences that you can use with that, with self-love. So little things like that. You can incorporate magic into things that you're already doing. Shower? Do you shower in the morning? I hope you do. But if you shower, then obviously you can visualize the water just washing away your stale, stagnant energy, any sort of mucky energy from the day before, or anything negative that you've absorbed from, I don't know, like arguments or online discourse. Wash it away in the shower. Visualize the water washing it out of you, and that's adding magic into your daily routine. So yes, that is a daily witchy practice. Kitchen witchery. Do you make yourself food every day? If you don't, then okay. If you cook in the kitchen every day, if you make yourself a sandwich for lunch every day, then make it with intention. Read on correspondences of, certain ingredients of food, and you can make the food with intention. Use your intuition to intuitively make things magical for yourself in your daily routine, because that is definitely valid. You're utilizing magic and you're working your magic muscle. So that leads me to the end of this video. My aim of this was not to shame anyone who doesn't practice every single day. I don't want anyone to think that I am saying that you're a bad witch if you don't practice every day. I really am not saying that. I don't mean to say it. I don't believe that at all. I would really like to continue this discussion. So if you had any thoughts, I would say join my Discord server, the Oak Coven. It's linked below. Yeah, there's a lot of us in there now, which is nice to see a bunch of people talking with each other and yeah, having discussions. We're going to be starting book club. I think by the time this is out we would have started book club, so there's that as well. We're reading Weave the Liminal, which is a great book, so yeah, come join us for that. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope I've cleared some things up. I hope that I've eased some people's worries about it maybe. If I have hurt anyone in any way, please, you know, come talk to me about it, and hopefully we can talk about it properly. You know, having these discussions is so difficult through things like this, you know, through a camera. It's not a proper way to hold these discussions. But I wanted to give my thoughts. I wanted to comfort the concerned and just get rid of some of the misconceptions about this idea of daily practice, and people perhaps just taking it more literally than it really means to be. So yeah, I hope that I've done that, and I'll stop talking now. Thank you for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!